The Sportsmen's Heritage Act, it passes the House with bipartisan support. You have got to feel pretty good knowing you're leading the charge on making this happen.
I think it's an important piece of legislation, and I just hope our friends on the other side of the Capitol complex pick it up and move it quickly.
And I'm sure, doing what you do and fighting this fight, you have probably heard from all kinds of hunters and sportsmen all across this country concerned about what we're seeing, this threat to their hunting and sporting rights.
Well, there were days and times that people looked at the assault that's made on hunters and fishermen as a direct assault. Now we're finding people are looking at all types of ways, i.e. the lead issue with EPA. They can't solve their problem through the legislative process, so they're going to try and do it administratively. So certainly hunters, fishermen, and sportsmen alike have contacted our office in great numbers asking what they could do in helping pass this legislation.
So tell us what your bill specifically would do when it comes to making it harder to restrict hunting and fishing on public lands.
Well, what it says basically is all land will be open unless specifically closed by the director of whatever park or land that it may happen to be. The problem is we've had to fight for years to get land opened. It belongs to the taxpayer. It belongs to the hunters and the fishermen out there, and we shouldn't have to fight to get on our own land. If there's a reason to restrict it, then they should make that case. They, meaning the federal government, should make that case as to why we shouldn't be able to hunt.
Mm-hmm. And as you said, you have got lawsuits right now out there by these hunting groups and these environmental groups attempting to ban ammunition that really hunters and shooters have used for years.
Well, of course. I mean, I talked to a reporter earlier today, as a matter of fact, and they were talking about why we couldn't use other materials in a bullet. And I said, well, particularly a lead bullet does the job that you anticipate it's going to do, and that is to kill the animal quickly and as humanely as possible. You use some of this other ammunition, and you run a pretty high risk of wounding an animal and never being able to take it.
But you've also got these groups wanting to ban this ammunition using these flawed studies to try to back up their claims about lead ammunition, specifically saying, and I'm quoting them, that it harms everything in sight. But again, where the heck is the evidence? Well,
if it harms everything in sight, when you go to the Gettysburg battlefield and look at the squirrels and all of the wildlife that make their homes there, and I would suspect that there's a tremendous amount of lead that's still in that ground. Again, they're trying to use every scare tactic that they can, saying that all of these beautiful animals and birds are feasting on these wounded animals that crawl off and die, and then they get lead poisoning. It's just not the case, and like you say, the scientific evidence is not there. And those that would claim that there's a human problem don't know the science at all, because to my knowledge there's never been a connection with lead poisoning because of using ammunition.
And your bill really addresses this issue. Basically, what it does, and you can expand on it, it prevents the Obama administration and future administrations, as I understand, from eliminating the right of hunters and shooters to use, quote-unquote, traditional ammunition.
Precisely. I mean, it's been used for generations. They talk about lead being banned in other products. Well, again, you're talking about a very small amount that the hunters actually use. So it does prevent this administration and those in the future from banning lead for bullets, and certainly for the fishermen that use it as well.
Why was this so important to you to get done now?
Well, again, you never know where our political enemies are going to pop up. They're going to use administrative rules. They're going to use the judicial system in any way that they can to try to win. We have always tried to play by the rules, and we've got to anticipate where they are going to attack us next. And I think this was one of those anticipatory types of legislation that, in fact, when we started talking about it last year, they kind of laughed at us. I say that they weren't going to come, and then all of a sudden we file the bill, and then they start filing lawsuits left and right.
Well, it's obvious what they're trying to do, and it's all about an agenda. And, you talk to the hunters and you talk to the sportsmen, and it's so much more than the hunt. I mean, they love the land. They love this wildlife. And for them, it's just as important to make sure they preserve and protect and what they call wildlife management.
Well, the 11% excise tax on the sales of long guns, ammunition, and sport fishing tackle actually pays the wildlife and fish habitat conservation funding around this country. I mean, I have 4 hunting licenses in my wallet now that the states that I go to hunt get money not only from the sales of that license, but the ancillary expenses as well. So, the hunters and the fishermen don't want to deplete the populations out there. We want to help them thrive. And certainly, hopefully through education, and unfortunately there are those that don't want to be educated, they'll understand why we enjoy the outdoors the way we do.
Mm-hmm. So the bill passes the House. It's headed to the Senate. How do things look over there, you think?
We've got to have to take an opportunity to visit with the Senate bill sponsor. Going to see him probably in the next day or two and have a chance to visit with him, and I would hope that everybody who has an interest in this legislation will contact those on the Senate to see if Harry Reid will bring it to the floor for a vote, because it is a bipartisan piece of legislation, one that needs to make it to the president's desk for his signature.
Mm-hmm. And there's no doubt about that. I got to ask you, all you're doing, do you ever have a chance to get out and hunt?
I had a chance to go turkey hunting a couple of weeks ago, saw several great shows, but did not have an opportunity to harvest one, but there's still a little bit of time left with the hunting season, so maybe I can get back out there.